Making a video game is a lot of hard work, which is why it's occasionally tempting to take the afternoon off and let the work experience kid program a level for you. That's the only explanation we have for the existence of these terrible levels which nearly ruined everything in otherwise great games. Enjoy this video as far as is possible, which is based on a suggestion by YouTube commenter Skynet091287. Thanks Skynet091287 for both the topic and for not becoming self-aware and destroying humanity. Also, watch out for spoilers ahead for the following games.
Vámonos! The underworld lies just beyond the sound barrier.
How do you know? That's like super classified demon information.
Not according to the internet.
Shadows of the Damned is one of the weirdest games ever. It stars a man named Garcia Hotspur, yes, that's his middle name, who hangs around with a talking skull called Johnson, who can transform into a motorbike. Johnson is also connected to Hotspur's gun, which is called Boner. Because it fires bones is the reason? Beneath all that weirdness, though, is a fun shooter with some inventive ideas, which is why we were so infuriated by the game's Big Boner section. I swear I'm not making this up. At one point, late in the game, Garcia and Johnson stumble across a phone booth. Johnson then calls a sex line, which makes him quadruple in size, turning him into, well...
Now that is a big boner.
Yes, thanks Garcia. What this means for you, the player, is a section in which you're rooted to the spot while giant demons walk towards you and you shoot at them with your powered-up Johnson. Not helping matters is the fact that your new firearm is very slow, not very accurate, and the fact that Garcia won't stop shouting, "Taste my big boner," every time you hit an enemy.
Taste my big boner!
Right, like that. Oh, and you have to do the section 3 times because you.
Taste my big boner!
Oh, it's a dick joke. I get it now.
Taste my big boner!
When I saw the fancy getup of Salieri's boys, I thought that it can't be too bad to work for him. Besides, I had nothing to lose. Morello was out to get me, so driving a cab wasn't the best job. Plus, the prospect of Salieri's dough wasn't so terrible.
In Mafia Cliché Simulator Mafia, you checked all the classic Mafia shenanigans off your to-do list. Wear a good suit, organise crime, that accent.
I like to take him into the outfit, boss. You can see he ain't scared, and he's done real good.
Enact hits on rival crime families, be an old-timey racing driver.
You really want me to do this? I've never raced before.
Wait, what? Oh yeah, in case you'd forgotten, a couple hours into Mafia, it went suddenly from The Godfather to Rush. The game jammed you into the teeny cockpit of a 1930s racing car, then left you to settle your differences with a decidedly dicey Grand Prix track. Spoiler, the track came out on top. This driving segment was jarring, finicky, and, how you say, not good. As is so often the case with racing segments attempted in anything other than a racing game, and also sometimes in an actual racing game. I don't know what made Mafia think it was the game to nail vintage motorsport simulation, but evidently Mafia didn't nail it because eventually the developers patched in the option to skip this whole segment instead of yet again flipping your car like a 100-mile-per-hour road burger, landing on your head and dying, as was the style at the time. Oh, and speaking of crappy races in otherwise great games...
Knights of the Old Republic, God, that's my favourite Star Wars game. It was, if I remember correctly, I want to say, perfect? No, wait, it's coming back to me. How could I forget the swoop race on Taris? I tried so hard to forget. You know, that was the one initial swoop race the game made you do just to check if you enjoyed it and to see if you wanted to do it on a bunch more planets all around the galaxy. Spoiler, you didn't. Swoop racing, for the uninitiated, is like pod racing in The Phantom Menace, but not so devastatingly interesting or integral to the plot, or as much of a good use of several minutes of your short, finite human life. Goddamn swoop hunk of junk. The way to win at this stupidly fast and fiddly bit of exotic gameplay was to be a hummingbird, or, failing that, cheat it by hammering the pause button to slow down the game, then steer frame by frame. Very exciting, but if you need me, I'll just be off having Jedi space adventures with Bastila and Karth, alright?
There's movement up ahead. Is it soldiers?
Aye, and in something of a hurry.
Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag is brilliant. It's brilliant mostly because it just lets you get on with being a pirate of the Caribbean, doing piracy in exotic locations, boarding ships, finding treasure, singing sea shanties, and petting dogs. Interesting history fact, pirates were super into that. The game also included stealth sections because that's a key part of the Assassin's Creed series. What you might not have been expecting were sections of ship stealth. That's right, stealth sections where you had to be stealthy while sailing a 50-meter tall pirate ship. This mission in particular, where you have to tail a gunboat, starts strong with Blackbeard threatening people.
So I must conclude that you men are the pariahs of Charlestown, and I would profit better by using your organs for chum and your bones for char.
And looks great, what with the moonlit swamp full of crocodiles. It soon becomes clear though that ship stealth is the actual worst as you crawl along at a snail's pace with watchtowers everywhere that will insta-fail you if you're detected. Plus, you're not even allowed to sing sea shanties as you go, so what's even the point? This mission is like a greatest hits compilation of the worst things about Assassin's Creed games, including tailing a slow thing, eavesdropping on conversations, and chasing people and instantly failing if they get too far away. If only Sean Hastings had turned up, we would have had a full house.
Oh, look who's here. So you didn't forget, after all, you're just incredibly rude and made poor Rebecca here wait for nearly 30 minutes.
You think turning yourself into one of those tin men is a two-way street? The crowd's holding auditions for the Frankenstein parade, and you're first in line.
The Big Daddies are a constant, menacing presence throughout the whole of Bioshock 1. Fiercely protective of their little sisters by means of their rivet guns and massive drills, the Big Daddies are Bioshock's most badass enemies. So when you actually become one towards the end of the game, you would be expecting something pretty awesome, right? Especially since the process of becoming a Big Daddy is such a hassle. That includes finding the right gear, getting vocal cord surgery, and covering yourself in Big Daddy sweat? Ew.
Look at you. We will make Big Daddy out of you yet, I think.
That's why it's so disappointing that when you do become a Big Daddy, it makes essentially no difference to the game whatsoever. There's no cool drill arm, no powerful melee, no weird whale song noise button. You just plod around on an escort quest fighting waves of splicers while your little sister does that gross thing with the needle. I don't know how many waves of splicers it is, but I'm gonna guess 400 because that's what it felt like. You don't even have to be a good Big Daddy. If your little sister dies, you just get another one from the vent.
If the little ones fall, you can call for another at the vent. But to lose even one is a sin.
Yeah, well, so are escort quests and waves of enemies, so I guess we're even, Tenenbaum.
Ready, Batman?
Ready, Oracle.
I'll be out there fighting alongside you.
5,
4,
3,
2,
1.
Let's finish this.
The makers of Arkham Knight at Studio Rocksteady were obviously very proud of their Batmobile, and with good reason. That thing is badass.
Running diagnostics.
Thermal imaging shows the Arkham Knight's tanks are unmanned and controlled remotely. You're clear to engage.
Weapon systems online.
Be careful.
Maybe they were a bit too proud though, and that's how we ended up with the Batmobile platforming sections.
The anchor point is secured to the wall. I can't move it using the Batmobile, but maybe it can hold the car's weight.
And Batmobile puzzle sections. And oh my god, the Batmobile combat sections. So many Batmobile combat sections. The best, or is that the worst example of this, is the final Batmobile combat section in the game, in which it asks you to fight 62 drones outside the GCPD headquarters. 62! There are things I quite like doing that I don't want to do 62 times in a row. I like a cup of tea, for instance, but if you offered me 62 of them, I would decline. After like the 17th or 18th cup. Given that it's not much fun fighting one drone, asking you to do that 62 times to finish the game is seriously at odds with the reason people buy a Batman game. Spoiler, it's to be Batman.
The only thing sources agree on is his name. The Arkham Knight.
Right, that's the stuff. Not clunky vehicle combat sections in which you are basically a big gun on wheels. This is the worst thing to ever happen to Batman.
What about his parents' murder?
This is worse.
Agárrenlo! ¡No dejes que
On the other side of the bridge.
Yeah.
Resident Evil 4 is one of mankind's greatest accomplishments, and if you ask me, it should be prominently displayed in the Louvre instead of that dumb painting of the lady with the wonky smile. But like the ancient carpet makers who worked a deliberate flaw into their work because only God can create perfection, the developers of Resident Evil 4 decided to include the water room in their game. The water room is a multi-part section full of endless cultists, snipers, cultists with shields, cranks, cultists who will straight up throw scythes at your head, and sniping sections where you have to protect Ashley, who I think I may have mentioned before is constantly getting kidnapped. She gets kidnapped so often she lists her permanent address as over the shoulder of a cultist. Classic me.
Look, there's a crank over there.
Anyway, all this is in service of moving some platforms into place so that Leon and Ashley can get across the small amount of water that gives the room its name. If only there was some other way of human beings moving through water, but there definitely isn't. Still, at least we got Ashley through fine and she's safe forever.
You alright?
I'm fine! Leave me alone!
Ashley, wait!
God damn it, Ashley!
Of course, you owe us nothing, Mr. Freeman, but you've come this far. You know as much about these creatures as anyone.
Enough to know that if you don't wipe it out, there won't be much for you to come home to.
Yes. So, if you're willing, my colleague is waiting for you at the main portal controls. He will open the gates for you, Mr. Freeman. Do hurry.
Half-Life was widely praised as 1998's Game of the Year, an even more impressive feat when you realise that 1998 also saw the release of Ocarina of Time, Grim Fandango, Banjo-Kazooie and Metal Gear Solid. Holy sh**, 1998 was amazing! Or at least it was right up until you got to the Zen chapter of Half-Life. Were you enjoying your cool, immersive, groundbreaking shooter? Well, I hope you like first-person platforming through an ugly-as-hell alien void, because that's what the game is now. After what feels like an eternity of hopping around on moving platforms through what looks like H.R. Geiger's back garden, you then get to explore the confusing and boring world of Zen, where you will shoot a load of alien pugs, a weird testicle monster, and a floating telepathic baby before the game ends, presumably out of embarrassment. Maybe Valve didn't think anyone would get this far and just put Zen in as a joke? Well, joke's on you, Valve. Shouldn't have made the rest of the game so excellent. Oh wait, is that what's holding Half-Life 3 up? You're still working on the Zen ending? Because I think I'd be fine if you just left that out and shipped it as is, guys.
The border world, Zen, is in our control for the time being, thanks to you. Quite a nasty piece of work you managed over there. I am impressed.
Those were the terrible, terrible levels that nearly ruined some of our favourite games. And now we'd like to hear from you and the terrible levels that nearly ruined your favourite games. And also, while you're here, why not click on some more videos by Xbox before you leave the comments. So here we have the video calculated by YouTube to be the best for you right now. And here we have a playlist of videos a bit like the one you've just finished watching. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on Xbox.